In today's class, we are going to start chapter 2 of history, that is from trade to political supremacy, colonial rule in India. The Mughal Empire founded by Babur in 1526 began to decline following the death of Aurangzeb, the last of the great Mughals in 1707. By 1750, the Mughal Empire has been reduced to just a faint shadow of its illustrious past. It had already disintegrated, yielding place to a number of regional kingdoms. This situation proved to be a blessing in disguise for the English East India Company, that is EEIC, which was seen to play a dominant role in the political and economic affairs of the Indian subcontinent. Mercantilism. In Europe, mercantilism became a popular economic theory and practice from the 17th century. It held that the prosperity of a country depended on its capability to produce more than it consumed and export from more than it imported in order to maintain a positive balance of trade. Overseas trade carried out by the sea routes was the most important feature of the practice of mercantilism. The origin of the English East India Company, that is EEIC, and its powers lay in the economic theory and practice of mercantilism. From 17th century in Europe, okay, a very popular economic theory has been practiced, which is known as mercantilism, and basically it tells about that a country's prosperity, it basically depends on that how the country is capable enough to produce more than it consume and export more than it is more than in import, and by this way it can maintain a positive balance of trade. Okay, so that is why this practice has been carried out by the people at that time, and at that time overseas trade carried out by the sea route. Okay, it was also an important it is an important feature of the practice of mercantilism. Okay. Origin of the EEIC. The EEIC was established in London in the year 1600 by a royal charter issued by Queen Elizabeth I, the Queen of England. According to this charter, the company got the sole rights of trade in the East Indies, which included all places east of Cape of Good Hope. Early years of EEIC. Captain William Hawkins led the first voyage of the EEIC to India in 1608. His crew sailed into the port of Surat. He succeeded in obtaining certain trade concessions from the then Mughal Emperor Jahangir. As a result, a trading post or factory was established in Surat by the English in 1613. In 1615, Sir Thomas Roe arrived in India as the ambassador of King James I of England. He received a royal farman order from the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. This royal order allowed the EIC to set up factories in Agra, Broch, modern day Baharuch, Ahmedabad, and some other places. Captain William Hawkins was the first who led the first sail of the EIC to India in 1608. His crew basically sailed to the port of Surat, okay, and he basically succeeded in obtaining the trade concessions from the Mughal Emperor Jahangir at that time, and because of that, a trading post, okay, and or you can say a factory was established in Surat by the English in 1613. Okay, then after 2 years in 1615, Sir Thomas Roe has arrived, and he arrived as an ambassador of King James I of England, and at that time he get a royal farman, or you can say an order from Jahangir at that time. When Roe got the royal farman from Jahangir, then EEIC was allowed to set factories in Agra, uh, Broch, and Ahmedabad, and some other places of the country. Prior to Roe's visit to India, the first English factory in South India was established in Masulipatam in 1611. Subsequently, the first English factories in eastern India were established in Balasore 1633 and Hooghly 1651. Besides, the EEIC also began to set up much bigger and strongly fortified operational bases at the presidency towns of Madras, now Chennai, Bombay, Mumbai, and Calcutta, Kolkata. They set up the Fort St. George in Madras in 1639 on a piece of land they received on lease from the local Raja. In 1668, the islands of Bombay under Portuguese control was given away in dowry to the English King Charles II by his father-in-law and the King of Portugal. Shortly afterwards, the EEIC got it from Charles II on lease and fortified it for protection against the Marathas. Soon, Bombay became an important base of the EEIC in India. In 1698, the company got the zamindari of three villages of Sutanuti, Govindapur and Kolikata and built Fort William around its factory. That was how the city of Calcutta came into existence. Before Rose's visit to India, already the English factory in South India was established in Masulipatam in 1611, and the first English factory in Eastern India were established in Balasore in 1633 and Hooghly in 1651. Apart from all these things, EEIC started making much bigger and strongly fortified operational bases at that time in Presidency Town, Presidency Town, and at that time the Presidency towns were Madras, which is now known as Chennai, Bombay, which is now known as Mumbai, and Calcutta, which is now known as Kolkata. And at that time they set up Fort St. George in Madras in 1639. On that land that they received on lease from the local Raja. In 1668, the islands of Bombay, which was at that time under the Portuguese control, it was given in dowry to the English King Charles II by his father-in-law, and he was also the King of Portugal. After some times, EEIC got it from Charles II on lease, and they fortified it for protection against Marathas. Soon, Bombay became an important base of EEIC in our country, India. In 1698, the company got the zamindari of three villages. At that time, they got zamindari of three villages, that is Sutanuti, Govindapur, and Kolikata, and what they did, they built Fort William around its factory. That is why the city of Calcutta came into existence because of that. 1717, the Mughal ruler Farrukh Siyar issued a Farman confirming the EEIC's right to trade in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha upon an annual payment of a nominal sum. They also got the additional rights to trade in the Deccan and Gujarat. The EEIC and other European companies made huge profits by the trade concessions they got from the Indian rulers. They bought goods, especially cotton clothes, silk, spices, saltpeter, etc. in India and exported them to Europe. EEIC's European rivals. There are three European rivals of EEIC: the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the French. Portuguese. In 1498, Portuguese navigator and explorer Vasco da Gama discovered the new sea route that linked India to Europe via the Cape of Good Hope. The route taken by Vasco da Gama's crew can be represented as Europeans' West African coast, Southern Africa, Cape of Good Hope, Calicut, modern day Kozhikode in Kerala. This had often became necessary because of the rise of Ottoman Empire in Turkey and West Asia that prevented European traders from using the traditional land routes. Subsequently, several groups of Portuguese traders reached the Malabar coast in South India. They established settlements at Calicut, Cochin, Goa, Daman and Diu. Goa continued to be occupied by the Portuguese till 1968 when it was liberated and became a part of India. The Portuguese were the first European power to establish their trading and administrative centers in India as well as many other parts of Southeast Asia. They controlled several important sea routes in the region. After the arrival of other more powerful trade rivals from Europe, however, the Portuguese could only manage to retain their possessions in western India. The Dutch. By the early 17th century, the Dutch too were exploring the possibilities of trade in the Indian Ocean. The Dutch established their trading centers at Surat, Ahmedabad, Bhuj, Nagapatnam, and Masulipatam. However, the Dutch were more interested in the Far East. They established a colonial empire in Java and Indonesia. The French. The French East India Company, established in 1664, sought to expand its base in India and posed a tough challenge to the EEIC. The first French factory was established at Surat in 1668. The early French settlements in India were Pondicherry, Chandirnagar, Mahe, and Karikal. When Dupleix was appointed the governor of the French East India Company in the mid 18th century, his ambition of establishing a French Indian empire brought him in direct conflict with the EEIC. Struggle for power. After the establishment of trading companies by the various European powers, a conflict broke out among them. During the 17th and 18th century, the English and the French companies, supported by local Indian rulers, fought several wars. By the middle of the 18th century, the EEIC eventually succeeded in outclassing all other European powers because many European companies has established their trading companies. So because of that, a conflict broke out among them. Okay, and because of that, during 17th and 18th century, the English and the French companies, which are being supported by the local Indian ruler, they fought many wars, and by the middle of 18th century, the EIC eventually succeeded in outclassing all the other European power, and it became powerful among all the other European companies. That's it for today's class. Thank you.